What's up, everybody? I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem, and welcome back to Mechwarrior 5 Clan's story-driven campaign playthrough, where we watch all the cutscenes, listen to what's being said, discuss it a bit, amongst other things throughout the missions, and make use of only stock mech omnipod configurations. Heroes allowed, but nothing can be modified outside of weapon groupings. So, with that said, this is part 29, which means technically 30 missions have been done because part 1 has 2 missions in it. We're making really good progress on Courchevel, and we're almost done with Courchevel. In fact, we're almost done with the campaign, truth be told. We're very much in the end game. It's been a lot of fun, so let's continue facing these ALAG forces, so strap in and prepare for drop. Let's go on the hunt.
The destruction of Saint-Tropez has proven that these amphibians have been sheltered by the freeborn civilians of this system. We have witnessed multiple amphibian splinter groups fleeing our attack, likely to hide in similar townships.
Was the total destruction of Saint-Tropez necessary, Star Colonel? It seems like an excessive waste of valuable clan resources.
Setting an example of those who willingly harbor these raiders will deter others from doing the same. In that, the destruction of a single city filled with freeborn partisans is a small price to pay if it brings the others into line. Are you questioning this logic, Star Commander?
Neg.
Good. I expected more conviction from you. Demi-Presenter, have your order discovered anything of value since Saint-Tropez's destruction?
Comstar has come to the aid of the citizens that survived the city's destruction. We discovered several amphibian support personnel among the refugees seeking medical aid. They were taken into custody and interrogated by my people.
And?
They have revealed to us previously uncharted installation structures, supposedly built near the townships of Havensbrook, Rivergate, and Arrowhead after the War of 3039. The amphibians plan to use them as fallback locations in the event of an emergency. I have forwarded our findings over to your watch.
Star Commander, has the Watch confirmed what these installations are?
Neg. But our techs have detected transmission signatures coming from that region. They theorize that the amphibians may be using it as a communications hub.
Then prepare to go hunting. You will investigate the Havenbrook region and identify exactly what they have built.
It will be done, Star Colonel.
Alrighty, so we are on a mission to take out the communications of the ALAG and, drive their forces back, and Comstar, give us this intel for where to strike. Even though you can't trust Comstar, they do have information. Sometimes they'll even, give you decent intel. But we are here to take the fight to the ALAG once we discovered, them with unknowing that it was them when we took down that gazelle. We have been basically taking the fight to them and steadily driving them back. Who knows how long they've been here before we saw that gazelle, however. So we are here to, like I said, take out communications and take down the ALAG forces. And Comstar is assisting, as they have been, and the big thing that comes up at times in the thoughts anyways is, why would Comstar be so helpful with the clans? Not just Smoke Jaguar, all the clans during this invasion. Well, Comstar you can't trust, right? You can't trust them because they are the antagonists of the Inner Sphere. They secretly, in the lore, want to rule the Inner Sphere, and they try to control technology to do just that, and they are responsible for the amount of succession wars and and kicking them off and trying to get things to happen that way, stirring the pot. So they want that. And while the clans definitely throw a big monkey wrench in their works, if we can batter down the forces that they would ultimately have to deal with in their bid to take control, all the better for them. Hopefully we will be weakened enough for them to finish off, theoretically, with their fresh Comguard forces, which are not in conflict at the moment. And also, we are a new force, so if we can be, brought into some type of treaty or agreement to not destroy the HPG networks, all the better for Comstar for sure, and for everybody. And that wasn't necessarily going to be an issue because the clans, including Smoke Jaguar, do not want to destroy HPGs and in general do not want to take down infrastructure. Honestly, they don't. It just sometimes is an unnecessary thing or unnecessary evil, if you will, of combat. And when you compare it to the Succession Wars, Smoke Jaguar is downright being extra careful in comparison. Anyways, with that said, we are in an Executioner for this one. We have 3 Executioners and 2 Warhawks. We are approaching the Direwolf. After this mission, we will unlock the Direwolf. And once you do that, it's going to be a case of eventually a full star of Direwolves, and that's it. These missions in the endgame of campaigns, when you're actually in endgame stuff and not just doing, let's say, like Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, a earlier game side mission later, right? But when you're actually in endgame territory, Mechwarrior specifically has the issue where it becomes a case of maximum weight go, right? So if you have a drop weight limit, it tends to be, you know, either 400 tons for a lance or 500 tons for a star, which means nothing but 100-ton mechs. We don't typically get endgame missions in a campaign that is low in weight because you have to do something kind of behind enemy lines or something that way. Typically it's just, well, take maximum weight and deal with maximum, you know, damage, take maximum damage and deal with a maximum number of enemies type of situation. You know, it's just what happens in these type of games. I still very much love Mechwarrior games, but that's something you're going to see no matter which one you play. For the most part, 90 plus, 98% plus percent of the time. So my point in all that is that variety in what the star is going to be fielding is going to quickly go away once we unlock the Direwolf. Over the next few missions, we'll be at nothing but Direwolves, basically. So enjoy any diversity you can now. So we're in the Executioner. It has mask, it has jump jets, like I said before. The AI will not really make use of mask, not that I've ever seen. So it's great for players. But if you are going to use it to close the gap to things or get to certain nav points quickly, know what you're going to be dealing with when you get there, or, you know, cover good ground and then slow down and wait for your star to catch up before you trigger the next wave of attacks, basically. So this is the first area. Take down the first communication dish, if you will, and now we're moving forward. We are on the heels of the ALAG, right? The ALAG went from being not knowing they were here to getting discovered but not knowing who they were to knowing who they were and being driven back. We took one of our dropships back, we took one of their dropships, and we have been taking out a lot of their forces. So, Saint-Tropez, the city we leveled, right, the port city, that was referenced again in this mission's briefing, is definitely not ideal and left a bad taste in the star's mouth. But as much as it wasn't ideal, I do feel like it was a better situation personally than Edo on Turtle Bay. You see, Edo on Turtle Bay was definitely a anger response, not a cool head situation prevailing. Definitely could have been handled better, and unfortunate, right? Perez made himself a pariah, and that's why he's still here while the clan went back. All the clans went back to their homeworlds with their blood-named warriors to elect a new Ilkai, and he did not get to go with them. That is not just some casual thing, but that is a big deal. In any case, that was a city, an entirely civilian city population that was already in control, and it was purely because Kurita, you know, escaped. And we were trying to stop that, and in response, he leveled the city. But Saint-Tropez was actively aiding and abetting a military force that we were up against in conflict. So I'm not saying there wasn't a better way to handle that, but I'm also not saying that it's unreasonable, right? I think it's just a much more extreme situation type of deal, and maybe some other clans would have tried to go about it a different way, but the end result, I think, would have been a costly conflict in there anyway. That's just spitballing as an idea. But you have to remember, the clans, even the ones that aren't as savage, if you will, or as extreme and militant and unforgiving as Smoke Jaguar, do not tolerate things like that either. So there definitely would have been reprisal regardless of which clan you were dealing with. In any case, I think Saint-Tropez was definitely, a bad taste in the mouth type of situation, but militaristically made a lot more sense than just basically leveling a planet from space. Well, not a planet, a planet city from space in the case of Turtle Bay with Edo. No nuclear weapons were used, however. The sheer devastation made it appear that way, but no nuclear weaponry was used against Edo. With that in mind, one thing as we about to trigger the next wave of attacks that I like to bring up is Kentaris. If you don't know Kentaris, in the first Succession War, Draconis Combine temporarily took control of the planet, and then as we absolutely destroy this Hatchet Man pretty quickly and effectively, the director of Draconis Combine would be assassinated on Kentaris, and in response, over the course of several months, mind you, several months of continuous executions, more or less, the near entirety of the planet's population, easily over 90% of Kentaris' population, was put to the sword, some cases quite literally. But how dared Edo happen? I agree, Edo was definitely unfortunate, but I think there's definitely a bit of a mismatch here when it comes to terrible things, and yet Draconis Combine never really had to, it's not like it never really had to deal with with the ramifications of that, but I feel like that's something that shouldn't be forgotten, centuries later, and more or less kind of seems to be, and Edo is just, the rallying cry. But I also get it. It's a great rallying cry to try and get people to your side, to your cause, and keep the morale up in facing a foe. So, good PR there, I guess, from such an unfortunate situation. So don't forget about your mask and jump jets, as you saw them in action here a bit with the Executioner. It makes for a great way to gain distance, the mask does, even in reverse. And the jump jets can help you take out targets and get shots on targets that maybe you wouldn't be able to. So the Executioner definitely has an Achilles heel in this game with its center torso, but it has great maneuverability. This is why I really consider this to be a player's mech versus a mech for AI, because we get to really make use of its full strength. There will be ammo crates in this mission, which is nice, so if you are a bit more ammo dependent in your setup, you don't have to worry that as much. You still should be smart with your shots and whatnot, but it's not going to be the end of the world. And since that is a very video game move, which I have no problems with, I feel like they could easily do something in a future patch. Hopefully they still will support the game, and maybe beef up the Executioner and center torso just a little bit, readjust that, as well as some of the weapons in this game. For example, certain autocannons I feel are a little meek in comparison to what they could be, but that's just a personal opinion as well. So here we are for repairing. Definitely going to repair ourselves. We tend to take the most firepower against us because we're the player and we're always out in front, well, almost always. And the AI, I think, has a gravitational pull towards shooting at the player because you're the player, right? So there's that. And then when it comes to repairs after that, I do typically take a look at what I have. So Yuichi is taking enough damage to definitely warrant being repaired in a Warhawk. And then the Executioner, one of the Executioners also took a lot of damage, or a decent amount of damage, so it'll definitely get repaired over the second Warhawk. Where I do try to, what's the word I'm looking for, check things out is if we're close in damage between two different mechs. In the case of the Executioner, even if it has a higher total percentage of health left, if you will, I like to give a look-see at where that damage is applied, because if you take an Executioner that has higher health rating left than a Warhawk, but most of the damage is in the center torso, I would probably repair the Executioner over the Warhawk unless the Warhawk's just really, really hurt, right? If the Warhawk is down to like 60% or something, I'm repairing it. But if the Warhawk's at, let's say, 80 something, like 80, like mid to high 80s, and the Executioner is 90, and this is just an arbitrary number, I don't know if it works out this way, but all the damage on the Executioner is pretty much center torso, I'm probably going to repair the Executioner because of that really weak center torso armor. But once repairs are done, we got 40% back on our ammo there with one ammo crate. We're able to make our progress forward. This is definitely a mission, like a lot of them, where maximizing range potentiality is going to really be in your best interest. We're going to come up against some decent stuff to fight against, both tanks and mechs, so do be careful. I do think Ezra has definitely got a case of the whinies after Liam died. I understand the concept that Ezra's talking about and coming from, but I also feel like it's almost like just poorly done, insofar as you're bred for battle from birth, trained from as early as you can be trained as a person to do something. I get the idea of a moral compass and having integrity and whatnot, but there's also the concept of being trained to and understanding what it means to be part of a military unit. I've never been in the military, but just from accounts in real life from people and things of that nature and how things tend to go, or at least seem to tend to go, you would think somebody who's been literally made for this would be less outright ignoring of chain of command situations and the fact that you're on mission to do something, and while sure it's with the clans, there's trials and stuff you can do in terms of having disagreements and whatnot, but you're also here with a job to do, so do it type of situation. I'm not excusing Perez. I definitely feel Perez is a loose cannon, a little unhinged, but at the same time, it's not like we're stomping out crops here. I mean, these are military vehicles and mechs, and we're facing a light assault group, the Amphibian Light Assault Group of the Draconis Combine. Speaking of which, they are something that I would call a bit of an irregular force for the Draconis Combine, and what I mean by that is they are comprised entirely different than the rest of the Draconis Combine forces. They are utilized typically in a different way and fashion than the Draconis Combine uses the more regular forces, and as such, at least lore-wise and concept-wise, their composition, their tactics, and everything else is going to be different than what you might expect after facing other official Draconis Combine forces, right? Which is pretty cool as a concept, right? It definitely works for the House Krita's favor in having a force that's going to be pretty different from their main line forces. Plus, it also is a force that, because it's so different, is kind of expendable, I guess, is how they look at it, because you're indebted to them. Either you were going to be executed anyway, so here's a chance for you to serve, have service and live out your life, maybe, or you die in battle, but hey, at least you get to go down swinging in comparison to the executioner's axe. So I guess that's how they view it. But it makes for an interesting force to deal with, conceptually in the lore. It's also why they just feel different. If you're wondering, if you are watching this campaign and you've seen us basically tackle outside of the pirates nothing but Kuritan forces, the ALAG are going to feel a bit different in just the overall vibe they give off, I think, because of that very nature. So the Stalker that's right there is somewhat of a weird looking assault mech, but it's definitely quite capable, so don't discount it. Definitely take it out as fast as you can. Assault mechs, I feel, no matter which ones they are, definitely should be treated properly, right? You don't want to just discount it because it's interfered tech, as we just avoided an engine kill there. That Marauder 2 we just took out is a 100-ton assault mech, so you definitely don't want to just discount things. But we're approaching the end of this mission. Comstar should not be trusted, but hey, they're this mission is perhaps feels like the most gelling between the clans and the Comstar, to me anyway, that we've had thus far. But doesn't mean you should trust them. It just means that we're more or less tying up a loose end for them and maybe getting blown out a little bit along the way. We do know that the fleet is inbound to resume the invasion, and Perez not only doing this, as a redemption thing, the kind of idea of redeeming himself in the eyes of clan leadership by dealing with a situation like this before they arrive, and therefore utilize forces meant for the invasion to deal with this, which is definitely going to help Perez out. But he's also doing this because, well, it's your duty at the same time. But this definitely is going to help out Perez, in a certain sense. We are, and as we reference in the coming mission, we are kind of assisting Perez's redemption. But it doesn't matter what mission. We could be doing the most righteous of missions, and it would still be assisting his redemption, right? So it's kind of a moot point. In any case, though, this battle is a little bit different from how we were dealing with, the Crime Syndicate in Turtle Bay, and we were kind of flat-footed there, and taking them out, but definitely at a bit higher cost to the clan. Here we are. The cost of course, is getting our tech back, and we don't want them to have our tech. That's definitely dire, even though Draconis Combine has examples of clan tech. The small amount that they have, we can limit that to basically being it, the better, right? So you definitely want to get rid of any clan tech from their hands and get it back. But, so there's that. But we are much more systematically just dismantling the ALAC forces we're dealing with here in comparison to the Crime Syndicate we dealt with in Turtle Bay, which was much more dug in, because that's basically where they existed, and had much more going on with the military forces. Here we have the local militia dismantled. It's only the ALAG really and any remnants of the militia that joined up with them. So we were able to really push them back effectively, which is pretty much what we're doing. Took a lot of damage there. Had an armor blow through and a side torso, but we took out the enemy forces. It got a little bit reckless towards the end, but we had tonnage on them. We had the range on them to really soften them up before that, and we got it done. And look at that. We just unlocked the last mech of the game, the Direwolf. We do have one more level of honor, which is nice depending upon what you've been doing for upgrades in terms of research and repair and whatever else. But aside from that, we have just unlocked the Direwolf, a fantastic assault mech, something I really like and would take over Atlas any day of the week. We have some decent research done. And when it comes to mechs, that's it. We unlock the Direwolf and we go about our business. We, of course, also do any chassis milestones. We're going to unlock the battle mech. We're going to set up some research. I believe I'm going to fumble with setting up mech tonnage in certain places because I just wasn't paying attention while moving things around. But we also now have 2 die rolls because it does have a hero mech. Every chassis that has a hero variant gets 2 when you unlock it. And while I'll basically be utilizing the prime configuration the entire time, I will be having this configuration getting used a lot by my star. Honestly, the only thing I don't like about that configuration is it's has way too much going on weapon grouping wise. It becomes a bit messy. Otherwise, it's a fantastic configuration for the Direwolf. So I'm not going to get bogged down in this video and me messing up my facilities in the mech bay, trying to put mechs around and juggle tonnage just for no reason. So doing the typical between mission stuff here of experience points and whatnot. Don't forget to do that, and I'll call it here more or less. So we have struck another blow against the ALAG, and we're going to continue to press that advance, even though they still have our tech, and we got to get it back. So we're almost done with Courchevel, though, and then after Courchevel, it's a few missions, and we're done with the whole campaign. I have everything recorded, so it's just a matter of getting it up. Thanks so much for sticking through it. Leave any thoughts, questions, comments in the comment section, and until next time, take care.